Hello, beautiful soul being. Welcome to the Connecting Soul Beings podcast, offering you, the animal lover, information, tips, and learning on soul-to-soul connection, animal communication, self-leadership, and all things spiritual. We will help you tune into the language of animals and the soul, inspiring you to gain a deep intuitive understanding of yourself and the animals. You become more connected, feelings of love and empowerment so that you experience harmony and joy. True soul-to-soul connection. Well, hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to yet another wonderful episode of Connecting Soul Beings. And today I am so honored and humbled to have the beautiful, beautiful Tameera Kemp from Sydney. Tameera is a full-time astrologer, a master numerologist, and a feng shui professional. She also teaches regular workshops around Sydney, and she has clients all over the world. She consults via Skype, and she has 20 years experience in this field, which is amazing. So I can't wait for our wonderful conversation. So welcome, Tameera.
Thank you for having me, Bianca. I'm really thrilled to connect with you today and to share, about the ancient sciences and metaphysics and alchemy.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we've known each other for quite a while, been around the traps together
We have.
in the spiritual world, and we both love our animals, which is wonderful, and all other beings. So it's a true honor to have you here. Now, I'm fascinated because numerology and astrology and all these things have always had a bit of a part in my life, and I can imagine for the audience as well that some people might be really curious, others use it quite often, and they use it very consciously in their everyday life. Can you explain a little bit more around each individual methodology and how you work with it and what people can do?
Sure. Well, I'm all about energy, and it's about, I don't use astrology and numerology because it's kind of a cool thing, or, it's basically from when I was younger. I was, to give you a bit of background on me, I was, we all have our sort of families that we choose to come in and learn our soul lessons, so to speak. And I was sort of forced into counselling and found it very, intrusive, and I didn't quite understand about what was going on, and I didn't understand about my family dynamics. And this would have been about sort of 10 years old, and I actually started getting interested in astrology probably from about the age of 12, 13. So through my teenage years, I started learning about sort of my family dynamics and about my mother's energy. And it really helped me to understand her. She was a triple Sagittarian, basically. So it means, your sun, your emotions, and how you communicate. So she has a lot of fire, and, and then I sort of got further into numerology sort of in my 20s. It helped me to start understanding my friends, understanding relationships, and that's basically why I started using astrology and numerology, so to speak. So as I developed with it, I was actually able to see into people and understand exactly what they were like from their vibration. And it's numerology and astrology are 3,500-year-old ancient sciences. So, I mean, even a few hundred years ago, the doctor would be present when, an astrologer would be present when the doctor was actually delivering the baby.
Wow.
And there was a very famous court case in the 1940s by a woman, Evangeline Adams, and she was, it was in New York, and she was arrested on charges of actually, being an astrologer.
Yeah.
And she had to actually do a chart and do a reading for the judge's son. And it was so accurate that actually put in place that astrology would not be illegal so long as you were practicing with a professional manner. Mm-hmm. So, there is Vedic astrology, there's Western astrology, and with numerology, there's Chaldean and Pythagorean. But I use, Western astrology. And the Pythagorean method, which is quite sort of easy to understand. I like to take the woo-woo out of it. I like to, really help people to understand how they can use it as tools in their life, then with relationships, it is just incredible how you can understand the dynamics within a relationship and how you are actually projecting yourself, how you are, emotionally responding to someone. If you've got a lot of water in your chart, you're going to be quite emotional, as opposed to someone who's got a lot of fire, who's not going to, have that same emotion. So that's kind of, I guess, how I would explain why I use, astrology and numerology.
Wonderful. Yeah. And I like the fact that you say you like to take the woo out of it as well, because that's something that people usually associate it with, right? Because it's so, high up there. And like you say, you do use the energies, that it's wonderful to make it as understandable for people as well.
Yeah. So, I've got clients sort of all around the world, and I'm based in Sydney, but I sort of Skype and Zoom, and I've got clients in, UK and, America and Europe. And I do see people in Sydney. I teach the workshops here as well. But basically I did go, when I go and see clients, sometimes they'll have, it's more common to have the woman interested in the astrology than it is the man. And I feel that we are sort of, there are men who do know, more about astrology than some women, but generally it is sort of that 80-20 mark. And there's a family that I went and visited recently, a Greek family who's sort of mixed Filipino. The father's Filipino, mother's Greek, very unusual. And he'd never, had a chart done before. And I was like, just be very open-minded. So I had their 3 children, and both of them, and I was able to describe exactly the children's personality without knowing anything about them. And he was like, how do you know that? How can that be so accurate? That's amazing. And I like to go very fresh in, so not really knowing anything about people. And that's how I really, like to operate, and to help people understand that we are sort of these spiritual beings in this physical body. And I feel we are also in one of the biggest, I guess, like spiritual sort of breakthrough sort of energies right now from the 2000s. Like the 2 is represented, it's the feminine energy, and the women are coming back, more into their power. And I don't like to sort of be women are sort of overtaking men or anything like that. It's about balance.
Yeah.
But it's about getting, deeper into your spirituality. And even from 2018, which was, last year, that comes to a universal year of, 11-2, and it's about that binary code. It's about seeing that 11-11 around. There are a lot more people. It's like we're actually on this wave of having a big shift in energy, and even, through animal communication that you do yourself about, people, this is becoming a thing. The 2 is also about the creativity. So in the 1990s, having a lot of tattoos was not really a thing, and more people have tattoos than don't now. So that's the 2 is also, that creative energy, and that's getting stronger and stronger. It's about, working with your intuition. And so it's, even looking back in the generations, there is like everything is made up of binary codes. It's made up of mathematics. Everything has a sequence to it. And so when you are understanding the energy, the dynamics, it can really help you. It's so empowering, and understanding about your energy as well. You will know that you'll sort of have a certain way in certain traits, but I've been told it's like having a light turned on in a room. And even your animals, they have, they have their own birth charts. My dog, my blue heeler cattle dog, he's an Aries, and he's a 1 day born, and he's what's called like a 5 life path. So it's all about him, and he loves to travel, and that's, about that 5 life path energy as well. But he really has to be the center of attention. And so you can understand so many different, not only your loved ones, yourself, your animals, even if you're going into business partnerships, there's just so many different uses for working with this energy.
That's fascinating that you do that for animals as well. But then on the other hand, it actually makes sense, because we are all soul beings, and we're all born into this life. And we'll have those charts and the dates and everything else as well. I love the fact that you also mentioned about not knowing about the person or the people that you're working with, because I experience the same thing. If you know too much, that may, in effect, blur the information that you may get through. So you want to have it as clean and clear as you can. To have no information is always much better, because I also feel then we're not preempting what may come up. You know what I mean? So, and it really helps the conversations. Yeah.
It helps give confirmation as well, because this is how my intuition works. So when I look at someone's date of birth or their, astrology chart, I have more information coming through. So when I don't know anything about the person and I'm able to actually confirm things about them and then have this other information coming through, then that really helps in terms of the life direction that I'm
yeah.
And in this world that we're in right now as well, there's a lot of people who are, online dating, for example. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is fantastic, because if you can do basic maths, if you can, get someone's date of birth or even the day and the month that they're born, you can find out like a whole lot about sort of their energy. And that really helps in terms of knowing whether you do have a strong connection as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, you must be busy then in the online dating sphere. I hear it all the time popping up. People are doing a lot of this online stuff and the apps that go with that. So that's amazing.
And the actual age that we're in. So
right.
We go through astrology ages 2,500. Every 2,500 years we change. So it goes in reverse. So we start with Aries, and then it goes Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, ends in Pisces. But with the ages, they go in reverse. So our last age was the age of Pisces. No one knows exactly the date that the age of Aquarius came in, but it's sort of maybe around 20, 30 years ago. So we're right at the dawning of this brand new age of technology. And we've come from that age of one God, of that sort of one religion, that Christian symbol that you see that is the fish, that's actually the Pisces. And a lot of Christians don't actually know that.
Okay.
The Piscean symbol.
Yeah.
So we are moving into basically, about having that sort of greater love for mankind. It's about, it's about the earth. It's about humanity. It's about our tribes. It's about technology. And you have to really look at how much the technology has come in. Yeah. It's just catapulted. So in terms of where we're at right now, it's just really, really the beginning it's amazing when you sort of think about it.
Yes, definitely. And I think it also helps that we have the technology right now, because everything that we do, and in particular, people who now really tapping into the energies, whether it's their own energy or using this as a modality to help other people, it is so interesting now with technology that we can bring it all over the world. We're not limited to one specific space anymore. And not only that, we can serve other people, a lot better, but also learning from each other. And you're also finding out, oh my goodness, I'm not the only one that can do this. That's amazing. Because a lot more people are coming up now where they feel that they have a completely different way of interacting with people and serving themselves and others, and having this access online is just amazing.
The Bluetooth symbol that's on our phones, you'll see it sort of on the car as well. It's it's got the sort of two peaks.
Yep.
Yep. So that's actually a Scandinavian rune.
A Scandinavian
rune. The rune, R-U-N-E, runes. You've heard of the runes? It's like a divine runes. You've never heard of them before?
No.
Very ancient.
Okay.
Runes are used to actually, they're basically, I think maybe there's 26 or 30 runes. I can't remember exactly how many. But they all have a different meaning. So you sort of throw the runes and then you can actually see, it's sort of forecasts.
Okay.
Tarot cards. But so it's a rune, and that was actually, it's called Berkana, and it means birch tree. It means mother's intuition. And that was actually, it was actually made, the Bluetooth was made under that name, under the rune, under the Berkana, so computers could actually intuitively talk to each other.
Yeah.
So we're staring at, so many different symbols and energies each day that we don't even realize.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And it all links back to the ancient times.
Absolutely.
Fascinating.
And it's it's only the past sort of few hundred years that we really have gone sort of strayed from, I guess, the spirituality, and it is coming, we're coming back into our spirituality, into using it with technology as well, and Google. It's like you can basically connect with anyone around the world now, and it's just amazing when you think about it. The number sequences. There are so many people now who are saying, "Oh, I'm seeing 111 around. I'm seeing the 555. I'm seeing the 222," and even these number sequences. That's the universe doesn't speak to us in English or French or Japanese. It speaks to us in vibrations, in codes, and symbols.
Mm-hmm.
And I myself have had I call it some numbers that follow you around. So sometimes if you are seeing that 1111 around, it's showing that you're on track, and that that might be like a new beginning sort of coming through, and just keep going that way. The fives, they mean change. So it's each sort of number has a sequence,
exactly,
vibration to it as well.
Wonderful. So you talk a lot about energy and vibration. What is that exactly for people who may not be aware? Energy, people think, oh well, that's electricity sort of thing. But for us, energy and vibration is something really beautiful that we work with every day and tune into. But in layman's terms, what does that mean?
Well, energy is basically, it's a frequency. It's a frequency that we can't see.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would basically describe it.
Yeah.
In terms of the planets, so that the planets actually have an energy that, I guess would program us like a computer. So from when we're born, we actually have our birth charts, and depending on where we are in the world, that actually sort of maps us. Mm-hmm. And from what I understand, and from the master teachers, we choose our date of birth, we choose our name, and that actually programs, our energy. So it's almost like, when we're going to the higher council, or before we're coming to Earth, we're actually, discussing, who our family is and the vibration that we want to come through as. There isn't any good or bad numbers or good or bad planets. I get asked that a lot. Do I have good numbers? Everything just is.
Yep, I agree. Yep.
It depends whether you're living on a balanced or unbalanced side of the energy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And you really explain that well, that it is a form of frequency. And everything is as it is, because it's interesting and I'm fascinated that you are from the same wavelength in that sense as well, that we do understand what we are going to go through before we actually are born, and that we discuss that, where are we going to get born? What are we going to be doing? Who are we going to have around us? And that is also a level of vibration that goes throughout your life. Whatever you do, you may hit off course, but somehow you always come back on course in terms of what you've decided to do, right? And those are also your learnings and your teachings. So I can imagine that with these modalities, you can really establish what it is exactly that makes your energy vibrate at a certain level.
Absolutely. So from your name, so let me explain sort of how it works.
Yeah.
Your name, vibration. So Bianca de Reus, that would gives your heart's desire, your personality, and how you express yourself. Your destiny energy comes through your birth certificate name. So whatever's on your birth certificate, even if you change it, your first birth certificate, that is your destiny. It's sort of like set in stone.
Right.
And the day that you're born, that's how you project yourself to the world. your life path, your life force energy. That's from your date of birth, so every number added up. And your attitude is from the day that you're born and the month that you're born. So from this information, it's 7 numbers, and you can actually see if you've got like a lot of ones there, that's going to give you very entrepreneurial energy. There's special number combinations like the 2s and the 7s that gives you natural sort of very strong intuition. There's a sort of a 369 that shows that you're very sort of creative. A 248 will show like very strong business energy. I can pick the teachers. Normally 9 times out of 10 people come and see me. I'll be like, are you a teacher? They'll be like, how did you know that? So I can actually tell that from a particular number vibrational. I'll also be able to pick the nurses.
Yes.
It's just amazing. And I'm still get blown away by how accurate it is. And sometimes there'll be people and they'll be in a particular vocation. I'll be like, are you an artist? And they'll be like, no, I work in marketing, but I love painting and I love, singing and I love doing this. Yeah. So sometimes we do sort of get steered off, what actually makes our heart sing and through our true essence, so to speak. And so from understanding your vibration, then you can actually start, taking up further direction to get you back sort of on course again.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, quite basic, but we've got birth grids, we've got 4 main stages in life, which are our pinnacles, and we've got our 9-year cycles that we go through. And, that's basically how you can really, understand sort of what's going on in your life and understanding about yourself and about your compatibility with partners as well. I've had a woman in one of my workshops last year, and she was with her husband for 25 years, and she was devastated because he'd left, and she was really having to get back onto her own feet and finding out who she was. And when I looked at the charts, I said, out of your 7 numbers, you've got 5 challenges. And she's like, but we're together for 25 years. And so when I started sharing about her and about his energy, she was like, well, we were actually living quite separate lives. And, they sort of become, I guess, sort of like tolerant of each other, but they weren't really living in their essences, in their true self. So she found that really empowering, and it helped her to actually move through the grieving process and getting back into who she was. With astrology, so you're not really your sun sign or your star sign unless you have that sort of planet right through the other sort of through the other planets. So your sun you might be like a Scorpio, but you could have like a lot of fire through your moon, your emotions, your Mercury, how you communicate, the Venus, the love you give and receive. Your Mars is your anchor and drive in life. So it really, when you're looking at the whole picture of your numbers and astrology together, then it's incredible. You just have this amazing, it's like being able to open up a book and see what someone is really like.
And how would you use that knowledge in everyday life? Because I'm always sort of conscious that you may then completely focus on that and think, oh my God, I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that. So how can we, what's my question really? Yeah, how can we understand the knowledge around that for ourselves and still be able to have experiences and live our lives without the focus on that specific information?
So I use it as a tool to help me and others move forward in life. I'll take you back to the example of someone who's got a lot of ones in their chart, okay? So, and there are going to be people who take things to the extreme, okay? And everything is about balance, but this is just, it's like a tool for understanding yourself on a deeper level. It's sort of what I'll call like psychology for the soul, yeah? If you have a lot of ones in your chart and you are working for someone else and you're not leading in some way, then you're not going to be in your true essence, okay? if you have a lot of threes in your chart, so threes is, that's the communicator, and you are not sort of around, if you're just working by yourself, if you're not around other people, if you are not doing something that's a little bit creative or speaking, writing, then there's a blockage there. There was a woman I was from a seminar last year, and she had quite a few threes in her chart, and I said, are you doing something that's creative? And creativity can come through, through how you're actually cooking, or it can be through numbers. I know accountants who are very creative, with numbers. It's not just painting or writing or drawing. Mm-hmm. But I said, are you using your voice? Are you, doing something that is, bringing that creativity in your life? And she said, no, I'm not. But she says, I've actually had throat cancer. And so that's actually, our body actually manifests, and it shows up when we have blockages. So when I explained, about her essence, about her voice, about, using that creativity, it brought tears to her eyes, because she never really saw herself in that light, but there was this underlying sense of something that was missing in her life.
Yeah.
So that's how I like to look at it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, and also, with the astrology. So, if you have that Venus, that you love, you give and receive, and your anchor, your drive in life, if you have a lot of fire there, then you are going to need, someone in your life who is quite sort of spontaneous, and when you are doing adventures, and if they have, water element there, and, it's not to say that you're going to break up, but then it's understanding, okay, well, you might be someone who likes to chill out a little bit more. I like to have adventures and be doing this. So it can be, understanding both of your sort of energies, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that can certainly bring the relationships, closer together as well. And but still be able to live your truth.
Totally.
Even though you're together, you know what I mean? So
there's a really great example of someone I'd like to share. So his name, when I was, before I went full time with my astrology and numerology work, even though I have been doing it for 20 years, it was, sometimes it takes a little while to come, fully into our essence.
Yeah. And
I previously managed training in journalism at a top university in Sydney, and I was asked to research why there wasn't more Indigenous Australians in the media. So I came across this guy, David Udipon, who's actually on the back of our $50 note. And whenever I'm talking about him, no one knows who he is. So I immediately was running his numbers. I just wanted to know, who this guy was, and, on the sort of $50 note. And, it turns out that he was actually the visionary for the helicopter. And he had lots of patents out, but he was an idea, so he had probably about 20 patents. He was always coming up with ideas. He's actually on there for inventing the sheep shearer in Australia. So he was born into, he was one from the stolen generation, and, highly intelligent man. And, he grew up quite poor though, even though it was from sort of an academic sort of family. He is from the 1800s. When I looked at his numbers, he basically had 11 two-master vibrations, and he had like ones. He was a one-day born, one life path. I think he had 11 two-master vibrations. So it was ones right through, 11s, ones. And I was like, wow, you are just a true inventor. You are a true entrepreneur. And, he really, he's the epitome of someone who is always creating and inventing and coming up with new ideas. And, he actually, the irony of the whole thing is that he actually died poor around, 80 or 90, but ended up on the back of our $50 note.
Wow.
So, I like to pay a little bit of homage, but that, is a really good example of explaining how to, understand the energies and understanding about the vibrations of numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And talking about energy, you also do a lot of work with Feng Shui.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I am all about energy. Yeah. I work with the law of attraction. I work with, manifesting. I use the astrology and numerology as tools to understand people and to understand yourself, and the feng shui to energetically align your home and your vibration. So it's sort of looking at the home as there isn't, any sort of difference in terms of, what you're wearing or where you're living or your car. Like everything is connected. Yeah. So it's a reflection of you. Yeah. The home, I use the Western feng shui method, and the Western feng shui came about from the 1980s from a man, Professor Lin Wan, and he's from Berkeley, California. So it was to take sort of the confusion out of the compass method, because it can be, if you've got a partner, they can have a whole different direction to you. So it can end up having a GPS, like sending you into a river, so to speak. Essentially, it is coming about with having that chi flow coming through, having your life force energy. And that can actually have a huge impact on your life as well. I think a lot of people, well, more people than not, have sort of heard of, the Marie Kondo. So she's, about downsizing and about really blessing your home and loving what you have. And if you don't love it, then, then to give it away, and everything holds an energy as well. It's important to be, to clearing the energy, but to also have the life force energy coming through. And one of the things I like to share when I'm teaching, it's about the 5 elements and why we feel so peaceful when we look at a fish pond, okay, because that actually encompasses the 5 elements. So that's what we're really wanting to bring into, into our homes and into our environment.
Yeah, beautiful. And it really works all together, right? The numerology, the feng shui, and the astrology as well.
Absolutely. It's about your energy.
Yeah. Wow, amazing. It's fascinating, because energy is really intertwined in everything that we do, which is really fantastic.
So have you had any feng shui? Have you worked with that at all? Yeah.
A little bit, yes. And I've actually recently done it here on my desk at home. I did it a few years ago, but then you sort of go off track again. So very recently I did my whole office, completely took out what I, like you say, what you don't no longer love, the things that I felt are, no longer part of me. Took that out and completely reorganized the office in a way that is really inviting, and I have a good view of the door, people coming in, rather than having the back towards it. And just minimalistic, but also things on the certain corners of the desk where is the Bahu or the Baha, what's that chart called?
The Bagwai map.
Yes, that's it.
The Bagwai
map. Yeah, that's it. So that's what I've used as well. And that's it's actually fascinating. In particular, the week after I've done it, things were really flowing very well. And you just notice the difference in yourself, the energy shift.
Absolutely. And even though I, live my life by this and teach and, consult, there are times when I get really, really busy. And, at my office a few months ago, it was just, I had stuff everywhere from the three different workshops that I teach. And I was like, I had the clients coming through, and it actually, I felt my energy really, like even my clients, my business, like it was impacting my life. And I just had to spend like 4 days clearing everything out. Yeah. And I just had this amazing, flow of abundance coming through after doing that. I had cleared out this year like a third of my wardrobe and really, really downsized. But it's there's this term that I use. It's called law of the vacuum. Okay, and it's sort of like one of the
I like that.
Yeah, so it's law of attraction, but it's law of the vacuum. So that is essentially making that space to clear the space so we can actually receive more from the universe. You can't receive more when your hands are full.
Yes.
Yeah? So even if you're wanting to attract that partner into your life, having that space in your wardrobe, having some coat hangers there, it helps that energetic alignment come through. So a simple tip I can give you for your desk is to have it clear, but also to have some abundant pens. If you are looking at, if you do have to have your door behind you, then have a mirror, in front of you. If you've got an office environment, have a nice the lucky bamboo plant, because that actually helps the energy flow, the chi flow. Crystals, they're life force energy. And when we look at the actual Bagwai map and the home, the fame and reputation area, so that's in the sort of, if you're standing at the front door, and the front door is at the front of your home somewhere, it's either on the left, the middle or the right, the fame and reputation area is in the middle of your home, and that's your heart space, that's the red area. At the very flip side of that is your career area, and that's the water energy. So there's always that fire, water, that's that balancing elements, and then we have the wood and the metal balance from the other two areas of the home. So essentially, you can't be, creating and doing the feng shui if you have a lot of clutter around you, as well as being psychology studies undertaken that show women do react to clutter.
Yes.
A lot more strongly than what men do, and it's been proven.
Yeah. So
it's just, having that clearing space and then going through one room at a time. Doing some saging, just to be clearing the energy as well. But yeah, I often get into the very specifics of, particularly if people wanting to sort of have pregnancies come through, or if they're having a big change in their working environment, or if they had a breakup from a relationship or wanting to have some healing happening there. I saw a client about a month ago, and went to home for astrology and numerology, and it was also a bit of feng shui as well. And when I looked at her relationship corner, there was a broom and a sort of a waste bin there, and I was like, "That's your relationship area. That's not so good." And she said, "Well, we've actually kind of, we've broken up, and it's just kind of just trying to sort of." It was very, it was very telling of how their, relationship was sort of how it had been unfolding. Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating. Wow. So we all need to look at that map and then go back into our own homes. How we can clear those spaces. Yeah.
Clear the spaces, and, if you've got missing areas as well, but about having, it's about having that flow coming through, essentially.
Yeah. And the clutter makes so much sense because, I mean, I don't know about you, but my office is at home, so I work from home, and I can't sit down to work if the home is not tidy. So if there is anything in the kitchen or in the room that's just a little bit messy, or we need to clean up, or, dishes in the sink, whatever, I always need to make sure that that's all clean and tidy before I can actually sit down behind my desk and do my work, because that energy still sits in the background that I know it's not done and it just stays there. So I've learned to just schedule my day in a way that everybody helps out. If it's not done, I'll just have to do it, because it really clears my mind to be ready to hit the work as well. So
interestingly,
that makes sense.
Going back to astrology, numerology, there will be some people who have elements in their charts that really cannot function if there isn't that super clarity and cleanliness around. It will have a really detrimental effect.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. And in terms of pets as well, I found that really fascinating, because you're the first person that I know that actually does that for the animals too. Right, yeah. So how does that work? What do you do?
Exactly the same as humans. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
They have the same name vibration as us. If you are actually choosing a name for your animal, then it can actually, if they have a lot of fire in their chart, obviously there's a lot of rescues around, which I totally support. But sometimes we can find out with the rescues what their dates of birth is. But even from a name, okay, even from a name, we can find out their vibration.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
That's
I guess there's not everyone that we can sort of work with the date of birth, because there's so many animals that just have the life where they've just come into this world and they go through a little bit of difficulty and then they find their forever homes. But if you do know a date of birth for your animal, then that will reveal a lot about their personality, about their emotions, whether they like to travel, if they like to sort of be that sort of number one sort of animal, or if they would like to, they're very much like humans.
Yeah.
They really are.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. For sure. Yeah. Wow. So that just adds another layer to that as well. And it's actually fascinating too, because sometimes I communicate with animals that do not actually like their name. And then they're asking for the name to be changed. Yeah. And then I ask them, what name would you like to have? Yes. And then they go, well, it sounds like this, or it sounds like that. And that resonates better with me and my energy and who I am as an individual. So then I need to go back to the human guardians going, okay, we're going to have to change the name. It has to sound like this, or it has to sound like that, or feel like this, So, yeah, that's interesting.
Even one letter can actually change your vibration. So
exactly.
That's when you could actually go, okay, like, if you really wanted to give your animal a very strong energetic alignment, because it's actually compatibility with you as well, just like humans have the compatibility, the soul energy, the personality and the expression. You will have the same through the name vibration of your animal.
Yeah.
When you have that same harmony, it is a lot easier to work with them and to understand them and to have that very deep, strong connection. I actually changed my dog's name from Max to Maxie because it was more energetically aligned to my name, Tameera.
Yeah, beautiful. And he's so gorgeous. Such a beautiful energy. Oh, wonderful. So before we close off, I'd love to ask you, is there anything that you can share with the audience that they can do straight away or implement straight away around this?
We go through 9 years. Let's have a look at your personal year cycle. Okay, so this is a really fun thing to do. We all have personal year cycles and that go through every 9 years. So if you grab the day that you're born and the month that you're born. So for Bianca, what day are you born?
The 14th of December.
Okay, so we would be adding the 1 plus the 4 plus the 1 plus the 2.
Yeah.
So that comes to a 7. And that's 8, sorry.
Yeah.
That comes to an 8. All right. So the day that you're born, the month that you're born, which comes to an 8, then we add that to the actual, to the year vibration. So because you are in December, we'd be taking 2018. So 2018 comes to a 2. So 8 plus 2 comes to a 1. Comes to a 10, and then the 1 and plus 0 is a 1.
Okay, yes.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay, so what we're doing is adding, let's go from 2018. Okay, so the days that you're born, the month that you're born, is adding plus the actual year. So you're adding each number up. That comes to a 1 vibration. So on the 14th of December 2018, you went into a 1 personal year. So this year is all about new beginnings for you.
Wow, okay.
Okay. And then 2019, so on your birthday on the 14th of December this year, you'll be going into a 2 year. If you are born, for anyone, say you're born on the 1st of April, okay, so you would be adding the 1 plus the 4. We're in 2019 this year, and the 2019 comes to a 3, so that would be 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 1 is 8. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so that'd be an 8 personal year. So I'm going to run through what each personal year means. A 1 personal year is about new beginnings. It's doing things in a new way. You can have a lot more energy, a lot more insight coming through. Sometimes you can feel like you have to sort of stand on your own 2 feet. It can feel a little bit sort of on the unbalanced side. You can feel a little bit like, I have to do everything on my own, but it's very powerful in terms of planting the seed for the next 9 years. Okay, so coming up with new ideas and a lot more power and energy. The 2 year, that's about partnerships. It's about it's about, looking at your relationships and about co-creation. Yeah. The 3 year, that's about social times. It's about sort of marketing that project. It's about, you might come up with a vision in the 1 year. The 2 year, it's about sort of collaborating and getting sort of the contacts together. And then the 3 year, it's about really marketing what you're doing and, communicating what you're doing. Yeah. And you can find yourself on sort of a lot more short trips and having a lot more sort of connections with people. So it's important to really stay grounded in that 3 year. The 4 personal year for you, it's about work. It's about sort of study. It can be about sort of creating that family as well. So the 4 is about building the foundations. The 5 year, the 5 is open front and back. So the 5 brings more freedom into our lives. The 5 is freedom from restrictions. Okay. So sometimes in that 4 year, you can feel like you're on a treadmill and you're going around and you're not sort of seeing the results, but quite often there'll be a lot sort of coming through. Even if you're going on a trip on a 4 year, you can find that might be sort of that some work actually comes through as well. You're having to just answer a few emails or something. But it is important to be having that time out in the 4 year as well, or you can feel burnt out. Going back to that 5 year, a lot of freedom coming through. Great time to travel in the 5 year. Try not to make any sort of firm decisions because you can sort of feel like you just want to have a big change in your career or you want to move countries or something. So yeah, the better thing to do is go on a yoga retreat or just take some time out or, go on that sort of couple of week holiday. Mm-hmm. But we can find ourselves actually having massive shifts in our life as well in that 5 year. Wow. On a vision board workshop that I taught last year, I look at the dates of births of people when they're coming in to actually work with their personal year energy. And out of the 10 people in the class, I had 9 of them, I'm not kidding you, in a 5 personal year. So they were all going through these massive shifts and changes and feeling like, it was a little bit of like midlife crisis. Like, I don't know which way I want to go.
Yeah. Wow.
The 6 personal year. So the 6 is pregnant with love. You can see the 6's belly sticking out. This is a beautiful year for relationships. Sometimes, we can have the soulmates coming through, just like in the 2 year. Marriage, children, really about working on our home as well, about creating that sanctuary. The 6 is about really beautifying things and feeling that love again. And even if you are going through a breakup in a relationship, you can really, it's a little bit easier in that 6 year. It's like you just land on your feet. The 7, it's a bit like the old man's walking cane or the old woman's walking cane. It's the seer, it's your spirituality, it's going within, finding out really about your soul's purpose. You can find yourself connecting with people on a really deeper sort of spiritual level on that 7 year, taking a spiritual trip. And the 8 years, so the 8 is heaven balancing on earth, or the 8 is chasing the tail, but the 8 energy is, it can be the year of karma. So reaping what you've sown. If you put in a lot of work, you'll receive that back, and vice versa as well. So the 8 year can teach us about money. We can, reap amazing rewards as well, but there's usually some very strong sort of karmic ties that come through in that 8 year as well. It's a very strong power year. And in the 9 year, our final year, that is about letting go. It's about releasing. It's about transformation. We can find ourselves really looking at our lives on a deeper sort of soul level. And if you are in a 9 year, it's a great time to be clearing out what you don't need. I mean, that's great in any year, but the 9 year, it's really about, downsizing and having massive shifts, come through life, that law of the vacuum. Okay, so it's about creating space.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wow. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I think a lot of people will certainly benefit from knowing that.
You're so welcome. And that's just like sort of the basics of understanding the years there. It's an amazing tool.
Yeah, definitely.
Understand where your partner's at, or your children as well, like what sort of personal year, because everything is made up of a vibration of energy, and so understand it, it's just really incredible to bring that empowerment through in our lives.
Fantastic. Wow, awesome. Thank you so much, Tameera. That's amazing.
Bianca.
Yeah. So where can people reach you?
You can reach me at tameera.com. So it's TAM for Mary, EERA.com, and that's it.
Fantastic. Awesome. And all the links will be down the bottom of this recording as well on this page. So you can just click through that and reach Tameera as well. So
thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to yet another inspiring, high vibration episode of Connecting Soul Beings podcast. I truly love receiving your comments, stories, and feedback. Keep connecting as they are truly inspiring. The easiest way to connect with me is via my website www.biancadereus.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn under Bianca de Reus. If you love our community and this podcast, you can help us by sharing and liking the show via Pippa, YouTube, iTunes, and the website. And if you feel that Connecting Soul Beings and myself can help you connect to yourself and the animals, then hop on over to www.biancadereus.com and find out how we can truly connect